I welcome you all with my love and respect. I thank Vijay Foundation for organizing this wonderful program. Today's subject is living enlightenment. I'll try to share few ideas, few truths. Then we will internalize these ideas, these truths by questioning them. Please understand. If you don't question, you don't internalize. So we will have a question answer session where you can question these truths to internalize. There is another one problem. If you are completely negative, questioning is not going to help you. Same way, if you are not in the inquiry mood, questioning is not going to help you. Some people, they are just filled with belief or faith. They are not in inquiry mood. And some people are completely negative. Again, they are not in inquiry mood. If you have the deep seeking, the inquiry sense, and inquire, you can be sure these truths can be internalized, and any truth internalized expresses in the life by itself. In Vedanta, we have 3 words: Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Shravana means listening to the great truths. Manana means internalizing it. Nididhyasana, living it. So today, we'll listen few truths about enlightenment, try to internalize those truths, then naturally you will be living enlightenment. So the way for living enlightenment, the Jivan Mukti, is listening and internalizing. First, I'll try to share the few truths which I wanted to share with you all. What I mean by the word living enlightenment. Please understand, this is the definition I have to share with you all. Living enlightenment means conflict-free life. Living without any conflicts, completely in ease with your body, mind, and the whole surroundings, what you experience as the outer world. Please understand. Many people come and ask me, Swamiji, how can we be conflict-free in this world filled with conflicts? How can, only when the whole world is silent, happy, blissful, I can become conflict-free? No, it is never going to happen. One more thing, actually your enlightenment is no way connected or related to whole world or anything. When you start living conflict-free life, what you know as the world will become conflict-free. Only that can happen. You will never be able to make the whole world silent, peaceful. All the problems are created by the people who are trying to make the whole world silent. All problems are created by them who are trying to create silence. Actually, even in the hall, meditation hall, I have seen many times, the volunteers who are shouting, silent, silent, they create more sound than the few people who talk. It is actually they create the more sound. So who have volunteered their life to create the whole world peaceful, they create more noise, they create more problem, they create more sound than the people who are living. Actually, there is no such thing as peace of the whole world. It never existed. It can never exist. Even now, the press people asked me about this global peace and all this subject. They say that so much of inequality, that is the reason terrorism. I say from the time immemorial, the inequality is there. Actually, more and more inequality happens by the people who are trying to create equality. What to do? Anybody who is revolutionary, the moment he comes to power, he becomes one more tradition. Last 3,000 years of the recorded human history, we have 5,000 wars. Each war claims, when they start the war, they say we are going to bring peace to the world. Each war, Each leader who starts the war claims he is going to bring peace to the world. One important truth is missed by all of them. When you start becoming conflict free, suddenly the world which you experience becomes conflict free. Only that is possible. This is the only possibility. If you try to do anything more, anything beyond, I always tell people, your manasarira can become peaceful. That is what is world. We have different layers of our being. Stula sarira means physical body. Your skin is the boundary of your physical body. Prana sarira means the prana which you use, maybe 6 feet to 9 feet. That is the boundary of your prana sarira. Mana sarira means the mind, the length and breadth which you can visualize with your mind, or the number of years you can foresee about your life. See, you can't foresee, you can't visualize about your life more than 1 year. Try your best. You may imagine, but you can't visualize. Imagination is different from visualization. Visualization means when you visualize, your heart also believes what you are visualizing is possible. Imagination means when you are thinking, your heart very clearly knows it is nothing to do with your reality. Please understand the difference between imagination and visualization. With imagination, when you are imagining, your heart knows you are imagining. With visualization, suddenly you know there is a possibility. Yes, I am thinking. I am working. There is a subtle difference between imagination and visualization. What you can visualize is the boundary of your manasarira. Whatever you can visualize, if that becomes conflict free, in tune with what you are inside, you are living enlightenment, you have brought peace in the world. Only this is the possibility. This is the only thing which is possible. Everything else is impossible. People think, oh, whole world should become peaceful, should become happy. Only then I will be peaceful. I will be happy. You will never be. It's like you wait. One child was waiting. Mother asked, where? Child was waiting on the seashore. Mother asked, why are you waiting without taking bath? He says, no, let all the waves get settled, then I will take bath. It's never going to happen. Please understand, it's a very subtle point. If you can understand this truth, your unnecessary efforts you will be relieved from those unnecessary efforts. Many times, we continuously suffer seeing others suffering. People ask me, Swamiji, are you not suffering? Seeing war here, seeing terrorism there. I said, please understand, if you also start suffering, you will add more suffering to planet Earth. Don't suffer. Try to bring people out of suffering. Your sympathy is supposed to bring them to your level. Not, it should bring you to their level. There is a big difference. If you also reach their level, what will happen? There is one more person who is suffering. People come and ask me, what is the solution for poverty? I tell them, try to bring them to your level. Change their consciousness. Change their idea about life. Try to bring them to your level. If you start thinking about that continuously and depressed, you will reach their level. Then we have one more poor person, that's all. It's no way going to help. So, what I mean by the word living enlightenment, the first definition, living conflict-free life inside your body, mind, and what you experience as the world. I am not using the word whole world. No. I am using the word what you experience as the world. This is the only possibility. Nothing else is possible. If this is done, you are living enlightenment. Usually, we set impossible goals and try to reach. When we fail, we confirm it is impossible. And once we confirm it is impossible, we stop putting even the little effort which we were doing. And after that, all we do is blame the world, blame the God, blame everybody. Continuously blaming. Our whole life ends in blaming. So fix the proper practical goal. understand what is possible, and try to work. When you know something is possible and start working towards it, even a small, simple victories you achieve will bring tremendous encouragement, will give you tremendous courage, more confidence. You will start moving deeper and deeper towards the truth. You will start achieving and living what I call enlightenment. Let me define the enlightenment: living conflict-free life. If I have to use more words, I can give you a little detailed definition so that it can become like a practical techniques. See, now what I said, living conflict-free in the body, mind, and what you experience as the world is the truth. That's the truth. Now, I am trying to make that as a science which you can use in your life, applied science, technique. 4 techniques. I call these 4 as the techniques. 4 techniques to live enlightenment. First thing, changing whatever you can change, Shakti. Expressing energy to change whatever you can change. Please understand, spirituality is not complete tamasic acceptance. It's laziness. Laziness is not spirituality. Laziness is not spirituality. Many times, that is what has happened to India. See what has happened. The civilization, which stands for enlightenment, this whole country's infrastructure is built for enlightenment. This whole country's infrastructure, please understand, all over the country, the whole country is built for enlightenment, Jivan Mukti. But somehow, slowly in course of time, as Krishna says, Yogo Nashta Parantapaha. The yoga is lost. The great science is lost. When the science is lost, the tamas is taken as enlightenment. Tamas is taken as spirituality. The laziness has become spirituality. Laziness is not spirituality. The energy to change whatever you can change. The energy to change. You can change so many things in your life. People come and ask me, is the life defined, predetermined, or we have free will? It's like a tape recorder. If you don't interfere, it will go on. It will go on, pre-programmed. But you have a will to interfere in many things. You have will to interfere in many things. If you can interfere, there are so many things which you can change just with a simple effort. Not even you need to have a big sankalpa, just simple effort. Many things with which you suffer, simple addictions or mental setup. I am not even talking about like alcohol or smoking. Those things are different. The simple mental sufferings, the restlessness with which you are continuously suffering, the constant irritation which we are carrying, these all straight away you can change. The constant irritation is almost like our habit. See, you don't need any incident to irritate you. We are just waiting. We are just waiting to jump on people. Anybody, if they just come in our presence, that's enough, they will have their blessing. We are just waiting. They don't need to do anything wrong. If they just appear in front of us, that's enough. We are just boiling from the morning till the moment you rest or relax. We are just bubbling, boiling with irritation. Even that is an addiction. That is an addiction. These simple things you can change straight away. All you need is understanding. You have a big problem. No, 10 times I tried, I failed. I don't think it is possible by me. Please understand, 10 times when you actually try to create peace, as long as that your effort is there, the peace will be there. The restlessness will not be there. When you forget, then restlessness comes back. But when you remember, you don't remember, you forgot. That is why the restlessness came. You stopped your effort, only then restlessness came. You forget. After you stop your effort, only the problem starts. You think, no. Yesterday morning I tried to be peaceful. But see, today morning, I am not peaceful. But by yesterday evening, you forgot. You stopped putting the effort. We don't remember that. Whenever you put your effort, there is a result. When we stop putting the effort, only then mind goes back. We don't remember that point. That is a very important point. We remember only the points we started putting the effort. We never remember the time we stopped putting the effort. We let the mind go back, or we allowed the mind to become restless. We don't remember those points. You allowed the mind to become restless again. So please understand, this is an important fact, important truth. We don't express the energy to change whatever we can. There are so many things you can change in your life. The other day, one incident happened. One person came to me and said, Swamiji, I surrendered myself to you. You should save me. I said, what do you mean by surrender? And what way you want me to save? Because this is a very technical word. Anybody can use these words and abuse. Anybody can use and abuse. It's very technical. And words can be used in many ways. Words can be used in many ways. We need to be very careful. I ask them, whenever they utter any words, I tell them, please define it. Define it. Because many times your dictionary is different from my dictionary. Even though there is a common dictionary, we don't use it. Each one has their own dictionary. So please define it. Let's define. He says, no. I have a bad habit of going to wrong places. Now I surrendered myself to you. You should help me to stop. I sat with him, spent some time. I told him, this is wrong. Why don't you think of your life? You have become insensitive to love. You have become disrespectful to relationships. It is far more deeper in the life. And all few words I uttered. I told him, please carry on. And after a few weeks he came and said, you have not saved me at all. Still I am doing the same thing. I told him, what do you mean? You want me to take your car keys and hide? He told me, no, I have surrendered myself to you, but still I am a same old person. I told him, what do you mean? You want me to take your car keys and hide and tell you not to go anywhere else? You have the independence. See, when you want the independence to live as you want, I can only give you the knowledge. It's you who needs to apply. Then I told him, what do you mean by using the word surrender? And what do you mean by the word saying that I need to save you? If you say that extreme, then I can tell you, sit here itself, don't go anywhere else. Then you will say, no, I need freedom. I need freedom. Then I tell, all right, have freedom, have this knowledge also, so that you will live this knowledge in your life. No, you don't want knowledge, but you want freedom. It's like a freedom without responsibility. Freedom without responsibility. You have a freedom to change so many things in your life. We don't want to change. And we say, no, this is my life. What can I do? How will God save me? See, you are the God who can save you. Uttared atmanatmanam atmanam avasadayed. It is you who need to lift you by yourself. If you can't lift yourself, you are the worst enemy for you. If you can lift yourself, you are the great friend for you. So it is you who need to do. Many times people want freedom, but anything wrong happens, they say, no, I have surrendered to this God, I have surrendered to that Guru, nothing has happened. What do you mean? It's like using the words, being hypocritical, not straight, not honest with what they want to do. So the first definition, the first technique of living enlightenment, Jivan Mukti, is energy. Express the energy to change whatever you can. One more thing. Even simple things which you change in your life. Please understand. Simple things. You don't know the power of changes, simple changes which you make, suddenly you will see the cumulative effect of those simple changes. It's a huge transformation. You start changing simple things every day, small things every day. Even that, within a year or two, you will see such a drastic, great transformation. It's a cumulative effect of that simple change. Somehow, we don't respect that simple changes because we want everything instant. But we don't have intensity for that instant change. You want the instant transformation, but you don't have intensity for that. What to do? This is the only way. Express the Shakti. Express the Shakti to change whatever you can. There are so many ways. You can change the way in which you look at the world. You may say, usually people complain, no, I'm not able to drop smoking. I'm not able to stop drinking. These all you may not be able to do. That is different because that became part of your system. But there are something which you can change immediately. Cognitive shift, that's what I call cognitive shift. Understanding about so many things of your life in the world. If you change the understandings, this all you can change it immediately. For this you don't need anything else. This is a simple thing. Bring knowledge to your life. Try to bring spiritual knowledge, understanding about the self, understanding about the world, understanding about the existence. These kind of things, it may be simple, but you will see your whole thinking system will become different. When the cognitive shift happens, see, whenever I use the word Shakti, the power to change whatever you can, first thing I mean is change the way in which you think. That is what I mean. Change the way in which you think. Don't try from the wrong corner. If you start, whenever I tell people, change whatever you can change, immediately they start struggling with their alcohol habit, their smoking habit, or some strong habits. Then you are bound to fail. Don't start there. Then you are touching the wrong point. Start thinking, start changing your thinking system. That's the first thing you need to do. Try to work on the thinking system. How you think. How you approach the world. Try to change your understanding. Shakti to change whatever you can change. The intelligence. The energy. You have so many ideas, so many understandings about the world. Wrong understandings. Many times which disturbs you and disturbs others. Try to change that part first. Actually, if you change the way in which you think, understand, the habits will automatically change. Even if they don't change, it's okay. I'm not giving you a license to do whatever you want. But if you start changing the way in which you think, many things will automatically drop, automatically change. You will see the whole life will become different. Just now, the press, they were asking me many questions. I was avoiding many questions. They said, one journalist said, it's escapism. I told him, yes, even if it is escapism, it is okay. If I can directly do something, let me talk about it. If I can't do, let me not talk about it. Same way, in your case also, whatever you can do, start working about it. Start doing something about it. Your understandings, you can change from today. From today, you can start changing the way in which you think. Many things about life, karma, effects, the cause and effects. So many ideas you have can be changed. You can reprogram your inner software. You can create more clarity, more understanding about everything. So reprogramming your inner software, please understand one more thing. The Dharma is not belief system. It is not belief system. Dharma is the legal opinion about the existence way of working. If you go to a lawyer and talk to the lawyer, you will have an idea, understanding about how the country works. Same way, if you go to a spiritual person who has experienced the cosmos law and talk to him, relate with him, receive his ideas, you will have an idea of how the existence works. Whatever I am talking is a legal opinion of cosmos. It's a legal opinion of cosmos. That is what I call dharma. So internalizing dharma is not just believing some facts. People think reading spiritual books means, oh, I start believing in this Swami, I start believing in that book. No. Knowing the facts, how the cosmos works, knowing the facts, how the law of nature works, that is what is dharma. Being very clear, not believing if I do bad today, tomorrow something bad will come to me. Not believing that. Knowing the signs, how it clearly happens, connecting, feeling, internalizing, clearly understanding it's a fact. We may not be able to understand with our small logic today. Expanding your logic to understand that dharma is a fact is what I call changing your mental setup, cognitive shift. An important thing you need to know, when you change the mental setup, when you start changing the mental setup, suddenly the non-mechanical parts of your brain will be awakened. See, the mechanical parts of your brain will be active just because you are a human being. The moment you take birth, you start growing, your physical age grows, the mechanical parts of your brain will be active just because of your birth. But when you start understanding the cosmic dharma, when you start understanding the great truths, the non-mechanical parts of your brain will be awakened. That's what we call second birth, dvija, rebirth. That is, in the tradition we say, if you are initiated into spirituality, you are called dvija, reborn. Means, now you start understanding the dharma of cosmos. Now your thinking setup has become new. You are not thinking in the angle of animals, the survival, just based on fear and greed. Animals don't need thinking because they don't need to do anything. All they need, they run based on fear and greed. If you are running based on fear and greed, the mechanical parts of your brain is more than sufficient for you. To go beyond fear and greed, for that only you need non-mechanical parts of your brain to be awakened. Awakening of the non-mechanical parts of your brain is what we call Kundalini awakening. When you start changing the way in which you think, the dharma, how the cosmos works, how this happens, how that happens. People usually question me, how can energy be awakened by changing the understanding? See, in your life, day-to-day life, you can see, if you are trained to feel tiredness at a particular time, even if you have not worked the whole day, when the moment arrives, you will be tired. Really? Usually you get depressed morning around 9:30 thinking that you have to go to office. You get stressed. You can see even in Sundays when you don't need to go to office, that 9:30, 10 o'clock, you will have that low mood. You will tell yourself, hey, today is Sunday, I don't have to go to office, relax. Even then the low mood will not leave. The mental setup is directly connected to your Kundalini awakening. So when you use the Shakti, change whatever you can change, you are awakening tremendous energy in you. You are awakening tremendous energy in you. Patanjali says beautifully, even if you fight with one habit, you are awakening, releasing tremendous energy in you. See, habit is energy used unnecessarily or in wrong direction. Unnecessarily, wrong direction. Both is a habit. When you break one habit, even a simple habit like having a cup of coffee early morning, or will not be able to have breakfast unless you see the newspaper. Even this kind of habits, if you break even one single habit, you release tremendous energy in your system. You release tremendous energy in your system. That is why in our tradition, we had the habit of fasting. We had the habit of keeping vigil throughout the night. This kind of habits, this kind of traditions, so that you will try to break and create new energy. New energy. Habit means what? Living in a mechanical way, without attending, without bringing your awareness to this moment. If you live, you are in habit. Anything you do without bringing awareness to it is a habit. Anything you do with awareness is meditation. Your whole life, there is only two parts. One is habit, another one is meditation. If it is done with awareness, it is meditation. Anything, any action, if it is done without awareness, any action is habit. Even driving, you think, no. How can driving and all become habit? You can see in your life many times. You will start from your house. Only when you reach your office and park your car, suddenly you will remember, for last half an hour you have been driving. You have been driving. You have taken at least 200, 300 decisions. Taking right turn, left turn, stopping in a signal, honking. You have taken so many decisions. But only when you reach your office, suddenly you remember, half an hour I was driving. Please understand, your life has only two parts. One is habit, another one is meditation. If you are not, any part of your life which is not meditation is habit. Any part of your life which is meditation is not a habit. It means now, till this moment, almost all our life is habit. It is a habit. It is going on. Bringing awareness means trying to change whatever you can. Shakti. Express the Shakti to change whatever you can is what I call first technique, first method. Try to change even simple things. If you can, change. Continuously change. This is the first part of enlightenment, living enlightenment. First technique. Second technique, accept whatever can't be changed. Now big question comes. Where is the line? What I can change, what I can't change. Let me define what is acceptance. Then this question will be solved. First I say, change whatever you can change. The Shakti to change whatever you can change. Now I am saying, the Buddhi to accept whatever can't be changed. Death can't be changed. Many things. The life can't be changed. The flow of life. Accepting all those things. Relaxing with all those things. Buddhi to accept whatever can't be changed. See, there are so many things in the life which can't be changed. You know. Accepting all that is what I call intelligence, Buddhi. Now, this big question, how will I know when a situation comes in my life, whether to use my Shakti and change or accept, use my Buddhi and accept? What is the scale? Please understand, I can give you this one scale. A very strong, straightforward truth. This one scale. To measure whether your life is a struggling, whether you are wasting your energy in trying to change which you can't be changed, or whether you are accepting the things can't be changed and living smoothly. Please understand, this one point is a very vital point. It's very experiential. Early morning, when you get up from your waking state and when you get up from your sleeping state and moving to the waking state, your transition between the Sushupti, deep sleep state, and waking, Jagrat state, your transition, if that is very smooth, please understand, your life is going very smoothly, You are accepting whatever needs to be accepted. You are changing only whatever needs to be changed. You are not struggling. If the transition is very disturbing, please understand, now you need to learn more acceptance. You don't need to express energy. Now all you need is acceptance. Let me define very clearly. Early morning, it's a very deep, subtle, mystical point. I can say it's a very practical point. I don't want to just use some words and give you a lecture and go away. Then when you go out, what will happen? What will be the side effect? You will say, oh, Swamiji spoke well. But what is the use? What is the use? I am trying to share the practical techniques, very practical points. Early morning, when you move from the deep sleep state to the waking state, after coming to the waking state, if you feel alive, two kinds of feeling you will have. Sometime when you come to the waking state, you think, oh God, I could have been sleeping. That was a wonderful state. Sometime after waking up, you feel, oh God, that was such a trauma state. It was such a torture. Now I am okay. Especially after night mass, if you come out, you feel, oh God, it was a worst state. I am so happy that I am out of that state. If you feel the deep sleep and the waking state, that in both states you are completely relaxed and settled. Nothing needs to be done. Just relax. You are in the right zone. You are in the right zone. You are expressing right amount of Shakti, right amount of Buddhi. You are changing what you can and you are accepting what you can't. You are in the right mode. If you feel the waking state is, if you feel more happy and connected in the waking state, if you feel loaded in the deep sleep state, you need Shakti. Means you need to change things now. You are lacking in that area. Please understand. If you are more happy after waking up, you felt somebody was sitting on you. People come and complain. Swamiji, Bhoot was sitting on me, on my chest and pressing me. No Bhoot needs to come. No Bhuta needs to come. Actually, we are more powerful than any Bhuta. No Bhuta needs to come. People come and complain. It's nothing but this psychological feeling of being suffocated in the deep sleep state. That suffocation is what you call, some spirit was sitting on me, sitting on my chest and pressing me. All kinds of descriptions they give. If you experience suffocation in the deep sleep state and feeling very relieved in the waking state, be very clear. You need to change many things in your life. Now you don't need to use your Buddhi, you need to use your Shakti. If you are feeling more settled in the deep sleep state, the moment you come to the waking state, if you feel stressed, if you feel disturbed, if your pressure goes up, in the West they say 90% of the heart attacks happen only in the morning hours. They say Monday morning blow-ups. Especially Monday morning, the office stress. If you have that stress, the moment you enter the waking state, you are filled with the suffocation and stress. Then, now you need to use your Buddhi. You don't need to change things. It is time you start relaxing. Whether you need to work or you need to relax, this is the definition. This is the scale. If you are more ease and settled in the deep sleep state or in the waking state, find out. You can find out every day morning. The moment you wake up, how you feel, you can find out. It's a very practical sutra to find out whether you need to use more Shakti or more Buddhi, because the whole spirituality, any seeker will have conflict between these two ideas. Many people come and ask me, Swamiji, this is my situation. You want me to accept that this is God's will, or you want me to fight it out? Come on, tell me. Many people ask me. Please understand, I can only give you the technique. You can find out the solution. See, in the waking state, if you are more stressed, you need buddhi. Means you are fighting too much, relax. Start using the buddhi. Start accepting things as they are. Stop fighting. If you are stressed, more in the unconscious zone, if you are feeling suffocated in the deep sleep zone, the deep sleep state, you don't need acceptance. You need fighting spirit. Come out. Start changing things. Start changing things. Every stress, every situation, early morning you can analyze with this one point. With this one point, now I can tell you, if you use this technique, any problem, you can take a decision whether to fight or accept within 24 hours. Because every day morning you can scan. You can scan and see. And one more thing, I am responsible for what I am talking. I have worked with this technique very clearly. Not only on myself, with thousands of my disciples. It works. It works. Whether to fight or to accept, this is the method. Early morning, sleep with that problem that night. Early morning when you wake up, feel it was the sleep was suffocating or waking up is stressful. Find out. If sleep was suffocating, it is time you use the Shakti, fight. If waking up after the waking state, if that was stressful, it is time, relax. Use the buddhi. Your intelligence is more intelligent than what you think. Your intelligence is more intelligent than what you think. The second point is buddhi, to accept whatever you can't change. In your life, there are so many things which you can't change. You need to accept. By accepting itself, you go beyond it. See, any problem, any difficulties, by accepting, you go beyond it. You go beyond. So many things, by acceptance, you go beyond. Even the people who come to fight with you, when you accept them, suddenly they lose the spirit of fighting with you. They think, what is the use of fighting with this fellow? Be too good so that you can't be disrespected. You can't be ignored. Please understand, this is the important sutra. Be too good. You can't be ignored. You can't be disrespected. We don't have that much patience. That is where problem starts. We don't have that much of patience to be too good. Then we go on blaming. No, good people are suffering. Good people are suffering. Relax. Cosmos is not sadistic. Cosmos still runs as per dharma. There is no Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is nothing but your brain. Kali Yuga is nothing but your ego. Kali Yuga is nothing but your impatience to look into the truth. People come and complain me. No, Swamiji, in Kali Yuga all good people are suffering. Bad people are living happily. No. Whoever suffers doesn't mean he's a good guy. And it's our ego. See, we are suffering in the outer world. But it is too much to say we are bad people. That is why we are suffering. It is too much. So we can't bear that. It's too much of guilt. So what to do? Then start blaming the whole world, whole structure. Let us blame the whole structure. No. God punishes all good people and all bad people are enjoying the life. No. Please understand. Cosmos is fulfilling itself through you. You are a miracle. You are not an accident. Constantly we think we are an accident. Cosmos is torturing us. No. Cosmos is not sadist. God is not punishing you. People come and tell me, no, Swamiji, you don't know God is punishing me. Please understand, God has not come to that level to punish you. And you are not raised to that level to be punished by God. You are also not that great to be punished by God. God has also not come down to that level to punish you. We go on abuse the dharma. No, you don't know, it is Kali Yuga. Dharma will not be prevalent. This history says, that Purana says, that Bhagavata says, that sutra says it's Kali Yuga, life will be like this only. No. Be very clear. There is no such thing as Kali Yuga. There is no such thing as Kali Yuga. I am responsible for what I am talking. I know the meaning of the words I am uttering. There is no such thing as Kali Yuga. It is our impatience to look into the truth is what we call, or we claim, we come to the conclusion that it is Kali Yuga. Look a little deep into the truth. You will see Dharma is prevalent. It is Satya Yuga. When you are superficial, when you don't look into the things, world is Kali Yuga. You are in Kali Yuga. You will attract only that kind of people around you. You will attract that kind of friends around you. You will attract that kind of relationships around you. You will attract that kind of situations around you. You will be living in Kali Yuga. Actually, in what conscious you are, you will attract only that kind of people around you. You will be in Kali Yuga. If you look little deep, if you have little patience to look into the reality, the truth, suddenly you will see the world is Satya Yuga. Still Krishna is playing. Still Rama is living. Still all the great masters are alive. It is Satya Yuga. Still Dharma is running. People ask me, what do you mean by this? So much of terrorism is going on, so much of poverty, so many war is going on. What do you mean by this? Still things are Satya Yuga. Understand, when Krishna was there was no war or what? When Rama was there was no poverty or what? No. Please understand. When Rama was there also, some part of the world, people were living in Kali Yuga. And even now, some people are living in Satya Yuga. So, Satya Yuga or Kali Yuga is not the chronological time. It is nowhere related to chronological time. It is individual's decision. If you want, now you can enter into Satya Yuga. If you decide, from today, I will have different consciousness, then naturally you will attract that kind of friends. You can see in your life. If you are continuously having self-pity, you will attract the relationship friends who will torture you. You will see. You will continuously attract people who will abuse you because you feel very comfortable with them. After 3 days, you forget that they abused you. You can again relate with them. You find out their cell phone number. You forget just 3 days before you have been abused. No. It's okay. But he is a good guy. In the heart, he is very good guy. I don't know what do they mean by this word. In the heart, he is very good. Even though he abused me, in the heart, he is very good. They have their own technical terms to justify what is going on. You attract abusive relationships, abusing people, everything around you, if you are in that mood, if you are in that consciousness. So please be very clear. The moment you start clearly understanding the whole world is going as per Dharma, it is Satya Yuga. Suddenly, you will attract the people who are living in Satya Yuga. You will create that kind of friendship around you. You will create that kind of circle around you. Suddenly you see you are in Satya Yuga. To enter into Satya Yuga, all you need to do is, you don't need to create Satya Yuga. Just tune yourself to Satya Yuga. That's all. The 6 feet, whatever is inside your skin, make that as Satya Yuga. Suddenly you will see whatever is outside your skin also will become Satya Yuga. Nothing else need to be done. You don't need to make the whole world. You don't need to create stages in every city and go and talk about Satya Yuga. Let the whole world become should become Satya Yuga. Then only then I will enter into Satya Yuga. No. Just change your inner space into Satya Yuga. Suddenly you will see, you will attract that kind of friends. Suddenly that kind of books will reach you. That kind of DVDs will reach you. That kind of websites will reach you. That kind of newspaper will reach you. That kind of things will reach you. All other things will become, you will lose interest. Suddenly you will lose interest in all other things. In my whole life, I never went to cinema theater even once. People ask me, I studied in college. I studied diploma. People ask me, even in college, how did you manage, Swamiji? I said, somehow, I never felt that was part of my life. I'm not old person who lived 60 years ago, long before. I'm just 31. This generation. But that was never part of my life. People ask me, it is impossible. Without being influenced by cinema and TV, how can somebody be alive? I said, somehow, this is the way I am. They say, no, you are extraordinary, you are enlightened. Enlightenment happened few years before. But even before, somehow it was never part of my life. And even now, I can't sit in front of anything more than few minutes. Suddenly I feel completely disconnected. I don't feel it's a part of my life. I don't feel it's part of even my understanding. So please understand, if you enter into Satya Yuga, if you understand everything goes as per Dharma, the cosmos is not a sadist. Suddenly you see, you attract right people around you, you attract right things around you, the whole thing around you changes. It's a strong, straight, simple, honest, experiential truth. I am not saying change your inner space today. After 12 years, your surroundings will become all right. No. All I am saying, change now, you will see the result from now. I am not proposing any theories to you. I am witness to what I am talking. See, there are different kinds of people. There will be always critics sitting and criticizing anything. No. What this Swami talks, it's all flowery words, fairy tales. I have experienced all, I have read about all these things long before. I have heard enough of all these things. These are all not truths. You have read, you have heard. Have you practiced? No. You come to conclusion by listening to some stories, some tales. No. These are all not true. And moreover, we have, see, always there will be one group of people. Anything you say, they will be against. There is a beautiful story. Not beautiful, ugly story. In one village, there was a guy who was, the whole village abuses him as a fool. One enlightened master was crossing that village. This guy went to that master and said, whole village is constantly blaming me. I am a fool. Nobody respects me. Even a small kids throw stones at me, and they say I am a fool. Please make me intelligent. Give me buddhi. The master said, nothing needs to be done. I'll give you one simple technique. Practice this technique for 1 week. You will become intelligent. You will be respected by the whole village. That guy said, in 1 week, whole village will respect me. Come on, tell me. Even if I had to stand on head, I will stand. I'll do it. He said, no. You don't need to stand on head and down. Don't bother about that. That is not that difficult. Do only one thing. Continuously criticize anything you see. Anything you see, criticize. Nothing else needs to be done. If somebody says, what a beautiful moon, say, what is there? There are so many black patches inside. What kind of beauty it is? Criticize. If somebody says, beautiful rose, what is there? So many thorns are there. What kind of beauty it is? Go on, criticize. Continuously abuse. Nothing else needs to be done. There are people who gain name just by abusing. They can't create even one simple thing, but they can destroy anything. Go on criticizing, constantly criticizing. Many times, our devotees bring and tell me the newses. Swamiji, this guy has criticized you. That guy has criticized you. What to do? Please do something. He should be punished. I tell them, that state of consciousness which is residing, that is the best punishment. He doesn't need a separate hell. Understand? He doesn't need separate hell. He doesn't need separate punishment. He is already in hell. He is already in hell. Because constantly if you are criticizing others, please understand, you are not that intelligent to have two minds. One mind to measure others, one mind to live with yourself. If you are constantly abusing others, you are living with the same mind. So you will be constantly abusing yourself unconsciously. You will be constantly criticizing yourself. Anybody who is criticizing others continuously will be continuously torturing themselves. It's a basic law. We think, no, I'll criticize others. When it comes to me, I'll change my mental setup. I'll think in a different way. I'll accept what I do. I'll do the same thing. But when others do, I'll criticize. You are not that intelligent. Please understand. We think, no. When others do the mistake, I'll criticize. I'll do the same mistake, but I will not disturb myself. I will not criticize myself. No. See your life. Constantly, if you are criticizing others' habits, if you want or not, you will carry that same mental setup and constantly you will be judging yourself and suffer with a guilt and inferiority complex. Anybody who accepts himself will accept everybody. Anybody who is judging and criticizing others will continuously suffer within himself. So whenever people bring me this kind of news, he has criticized you, he has disrespected you, he should be punished. Tell something, Swamiji. I tell them, no, relax. We don't need to punish him. He is in the state of consciousness. Already he is suffering. He has enough punishment. He is having enough punishment. Please understand. You don't do negative things and reach hell. You do negative things because you are already in hell. You are already in hell. And this guy who got the instruction from this master, he goes on abusing. He said, that is very easy, I'll do it. After 10 days, the master was coming back through the same village. After his pilgrimage, he saw a scene under a big neem tree. This guy is sitting, and the whole village is sitting below, sitting at his feet. They are all listening. When the master came, this guy looked and said, Master said, I want to talk to you. After the discourse, I'll see you. Please be seated. And after everybody left, he fell at the master's feet, fell at the feet of the master and said, oh master, it just really were miracles. Master asked, what happened? He said, all I did is this only. I started constantly abusing. Whatever I see, whoever comes to me, I start abusing. And after a few days, people have started thinking, I am very intelligent. No, it takes only this much. To show yourself as intelligent, all you need is constantly abuse things around you. Nothing else needs to be done. Continuously criticizing. People who are continuously criticizing, one big problem is they will create only enmity. They will never be productive. They will never be productive. I have seen this kind of mental setup, this kind of people. They will never be productive. They will be such a lazy people, even in their personal life. I am seeing all over the world this kind of, all kinds of specimens I am seeing. This kind of people, they will be such a lazy, such a unproductive people. They can't do anything else except criticizing. They live in Kali Yuga. They live in Kali Yuga. That's the worst state to be in. If you understand, still Dharma is alive. Still Dharma is prevalent. Still, that is the way the cosmos is functioning. Cosmos has not changed the way because the time has passed. No. When you understand that, suddenly you will see your inner space will become Satya Yuga. You will start attracting friends, things, everything of the same energy, same consciousness, same Satya Yuga space. The third technique, understand? First technique is Shakti to change whatever you can. Second is Buddhi to accept whatever you can't. Third, it's important thing, Yukti. Yukti means clarity. Clarity. How much you change or accept, this whole thing is a one more dream. Understand? the ultimate step in Vedanta, or I can say ultimate truth in a simple words, whether you accept or change, how much you accept or how much you change, the whole thing is a changing dream. There is no scale. The whole thing is changing dream. Now I am putting the whole thing in one word. You don't need to struggle at all. This is I can say, ultimate truth. What we call Zen or Advaita. The ultimate truth. However you change, the whole thing is a constant changing dream. If you understand this truth, how much you change, the whole thing is constantly changing dream. Suddenly you will see you are unclutched. You have a tremendous relaxation inside you. People ask me, if everything is changing dream, then I can do whatever I want. Please understand. If you internalize the truth, everything is a changing dream, you will not be able to do whatever you want. You will do whatever cosmos wants you. You will not be able to do whatever you want, because the moment you understand this truth, the tremendous inner healing will start happening. The struggle or the suffering will come to an end. One glimpse, whatever is happening is a changing dream. It is constantly changing. Your ideas are changing. Your ideas about changing is changing. Your ideas about transformation is changing. Your ideas about problem is changing. The whole thing changes. For example, sometimes people come and ask me, Swamiji, 12 years before I started my spiritual practice, I thought all my struggles will end. But after 12 years, still I have struggles. Understand? You may have struggles, but not same struggles. The transformation in struggles means transformation in you has happened. 12 years before, you might have been fighting with something else. After 12 years, you might be fighting with something else. When your opponent has changed, be very clear, you have changed. Your opponent cannot change without you changing. It means transformation has happened. Now your fight is happening in different level. In different level. Means the whole thing is changing. 12 years before, what was your desire? What was your fear? What you define as transformation? What you define as mukti? Even those things change. Your concept about liberation constantly changes. The more you expand, the idea also changes. I always tell people, enlightenment experience is ultimate, but not final. That's a big difference. Ultimate means all your ideas about enlightenment will disappear. All your ideas about body, mind, everything will disappear. That does not mean everything is over. It will be constantly exploding into a different space. This moment, you will think, oh God, this is the ultimate experience I can bear. Not more than this. But that does not mean it ends there. Every moment you will be having the same feeling. That is what I call enlightenment. It is a limitless continuum. Please understand, limitless continuum. It will be exploding, but constantly. What you think as ultimate now will be happening in you. After a few minutes, what you think as ultimate now will be happening in you. What you think as ultimate in this moment will be happening. Limitless continuum. The continuously. The whole thing is changing. It means your idea about enlightenment, your idea about desire, your idea about greed, your idea about you, your idea about Jiva, Ishvara, Jagat. All the three will change. Constantly it will be changing. That is what I call enlightenment. Please understand. People think enlightenment is retirement. No. No, you have an idea. After enlightenment, I will do this. I will do that. People come and ask me, Swamiji, what should I plan to do after enlightenment? I tell them, that plan he will do. You can't do. As long as you are planning to do, you will never become enlightened. Enlightenment is the last decision you can make. After that, you can't make any decision. All decisions will be made by somebody else or something else. All decisions will be made by something else. People think enlightenment is like a retirement plan. No, relax. It is a constant happening. It is a constant happening. You will realize everything, whatever, whether you change or you accept, it is just changing, changing, changing. It is just eternally changing. Yukti, to realize whatever you call as a reality is a changing dream. That is what I call yukti. There are so many wonderful truths which can be revealed inside you when you realize this whole thing is changing. So many things will be revealed. Your whole world is nothing but what you experience in your manasarira. For example, now what is your whole world? Whatever you are seeing, whatever waves created because of the seeing and listening inside you. This is what is your world. Now I am talking something. So each one is differently responding in your inner space to what you are seeing and what you are listening. That is what is each one's world. I can see each one responding in a different way to what I am talking. So now already one person is thinking, if whatever is changing reality, then why should I work? Why not lie down? Please understand, if by remembering this truth, if you think you can lie down, try lying down. You will not be able to lie down more than few days. Try. How many days you can sleep? No. We always have a fear. If I understand these great spiritual truths, I may become dropout from the society. I may not go to the job. I may not take care of my family. Who will pay my bills? Who will take care of my car, apartment? People have this big problem, this big fear. Understand? Assimilate these ideas. If this brings you laziness, just try to lie down. Relax with these ideas. How many days you can be lying down? How many days you think you will be sleeping? No, not more than few days. Your innate energy will not let you lie down as lazy. These truths can only bring you, it can only remove unnecessary restlessness. It can never make you lazy. We always think, logically question, oh, if I accept these ideas, then I may become lazy. No, accept, digest, assimilate, see. Only the unnecessary restlessness which is part of you, that will be removed. Never the needed energy, needed activeness, that will never be removed. You will be active, you will be alive, you will be taking care of your car, your house, your family, your relationships, your bank balance, everything. Only thing, the depression and irritation will be missing. But sometimes we feel that is missing. See, it was there for a long time with me. You feel lonely without that. Actually, after some time, you feel very connected and settled with the depression and irritation. If that is not there for 1 or 2 days, you attended by mistake some meditation, some satsang. It is not there. You feel something is lacking. What happened? From today morning, things are so silent, smooth. How come? Oh, yesterday I went to satsang. And you are waiting. All right, this effect will be there, I think, next 2-3 days. You calculate. You decide. You don't trust this effect can last long, or this can become your part of your being. This can become your nature. No, you say, no. All right, 2 days I will be like this only. Afterwards, I will become normal. I will become all right. You wait for it. Understand? Understanding this one truth, that whatever is just changing. Whatever I think as reality is just changing. That clarity relieves you from many sufferings. The tremendous inner healing will happen this moment in you. All our, you see, it's like many times you can see when you have the nightmare, strong frightening dreams like tiger chasing you, snake chasing you, or you are being imprisoned, or you are lost, you are near and dear on some kind of dreams, and suddenly when you wake up, what kind of relief you feel? Oh God, it is all dream. How relieved you feel. That feeling, that inner healing can happen this moment from this life. From this life. Understand? Whatever you are going through now, suddenly if somebody tells you, or you realize it's just a dream, what will happen? Oh God, what tremendous relaxation. What tremendous inner healing. Understand? You don't need somebody even to tell you. You yourself can remember. You yourself can recollect. You yourself can raise you to that understanding, that yukti, that whatever is happening around me is one more dream. Whatever I think as reality is one more dream. The third technique is yukti. Constantly you can remember. It's like a whole night you are dreaming as if you are making money, saving it, and building a big house. After completion of the house, you are wiping, cleaning. It's already clean. Even then you are cleaning, wiping. Suddenly you wake up. What will happen? That's the same thing you are doing. Remembering this again and again is what I call the third technique, yukti. Yukti of living enlightenment. The fourth, the ultimate one. The fourth important and ultimate one. Bhakti towards the unchanging energy. You may call that energy as God or Guru or Divine or Shiva. Any name you can use. Unchanging, feeling connection towards strong feeling connection towards that unchanging reality, bhakti. Understand? Four technique to live enlightenment. One, Shakti, energy to change whatever you can. Next, Buddhi, intelligence to accept whatever need not. Yukti, understanding whatever you call as reality, how much ever you change, is one more dream. Changing dream. Yukti. Fourth one, Bhakti. Strong feeling connection. Feeling deeply secure. Strong feeling connection with the unchanging one. Unchanging reality. Understand? Strong feeling connection with that unchanging one. When it comes to you, you have a deep security feeling. Bhakti can bring tremendous security feeling in you. Let me explain how it can bring tremendous security feeling in you. If you think whatever you are having and enjoying, you are worthy of it, you will never have the fear it will be taken away from you. If you think everything is an accident, what has happened around you, your wealth, your intelligence, everything is an accident, you will always have a constant fear. Any moment it can be taken away. If not in this life, after death. If you understand what I am having is because I am worthy. Relaxing. It is because I am worthy. It is because I am worthy. It is there around me. If this clarity comes to you, you know very clearly, even if I die this moment, I'll come out and I'll rise in a space where I have all these things available. I have this much of intelligence, this much of money, this kind of ambience, this kind of situation, this kind of health. I am worthy of this. If you have that clarity, you know, even if you die this moment, you will take birth in the same kind of ambience. It will never be taken away from you. It will never be taken away from you. If you think whatever you have around you now is accident, you will have the constant fear. Even when it is there around you, you will not be enjoying. When you sit in the car, you will have one thought coming up. Who knows when the accident will happen? Who knows? Not only the car, even my life may be taken away from me. So even when things are around you, you will not be able to enjoy. When you relax, settle into that feeling connection to that unchanging one. Feeling connection to that unchanging reality. You may call it Shiva, you may call it Guru, you may call it God, anything. There is something which is unchanging. Feeling connected to it. Feeling connection happens in different dimensions. Sometimes in different bhavas. If you feel connected with a form, that's one kind of bhava. If you feel connected to the formless energy, that's one kind of form. It's a different thing. Different people feel connected with the different ways. People come and ask me, which is best one? Feeling connected through the formless way or feeling connected with the form? I tell them, there is no such thing as best. How it happens in your life. People who can't afford to feel connected to a living form, let them feel connected, because egoistic person can't afford to feel connected through a form. It hurts him. It is very easy to feel connected to some empty sky or open. Because you can continue to do whatever you want and put the blame on that empty sky. Nobody is there to question you. But you can't play that game with me. I'll question you. I'll tell, hey, you are playing your game and blaming me. So when you feel connected with the form, you need immediate transformation. So people who can afford this, let them feel connected with the form. People who can't afford, who don't have that kind of mental setup, let them at least feel connected without form. So it depends on the mental setup. It depends on the person. It depends on the way in which he is living. But anyway, if you feel connected to that unchanging reality, that bhakti, when it starts happening in you, please understand. Now what I am talking to you as a technique. Start developing it. It is possible. It is possible. Technique, the bhakti to the unchanging one. Suddenly you will see the tremendous secured feeling happening around you. The tremendous secured feeling happening around you. Now you know, whatever is around you, you are qualified for it. Even if you die this moment, if it is taken away, you will be again taking birth in a same space where all these things are provided, where all these things are around you, where all these things are directly with you. Only with this bhakti, you can overcome death fear. Till then, you can never overcome death fear. This is a straight method to overcome death fear. Otherwise, you will always have that fear. What will happen if I die? This apartment will be taken away. Who knows where I will take birth? I may be born in a slum. I don't know how long it will take for me to build an apartment. I don't know how long it will take for me to get a visa to USA. Again, I have to stand in the immigration. Again, I have to stand in the embassy. I don't know when I will go there and make money. I don't know when I will come back and establish myself here. All these questions. When you have feeling connection to that unchanging one, you know whatever is around you, you are worthy of it. And even if some way or other, even if it is taken away from you, you will again see you are in the same space. Everything is around you. Everything gathers around you. Please understand. I'll give the essence of whatever I am proposing. First thing, living enlightenment is living conflict-free. Conflict-free in your mind, body, and the outer space, which you experience as the world. Living in a conflict-free way with your body, mind, and the world you experience as your world. This is what I call living enlightenment. First definition of living enlightenment. Second, technique to live enlightenment. The fourth thing, Shakti, energy to change whatever you can, whatever you need to. Second, Buddhi, intelligence to accept whatever you need not change. Third, Yukti, how much ever you change, the whole world is one more changing dream. Whatever you think as reality, so one more changing dream. Yukti. Fourth, ultimate, Bhakti. strong feeling connection with unchanging reality. Actually, if you understand, whatever you experience is a changing dream. Suddenly, automatically, your whole consciousness will flow towards that unchanging reality. That is what I call bhakti. You don't need to create bhakti. Just remembrance. All these things are dream. Your whole consciousness will start flowing towards something which does not change. That's what I call bhakti. When you leave all these three, you are living Jivan Mukti. You are living enlightenment. So please understand, this is the essence of living enlightenment. Develop all these four, even if it is simple beginning. It's nothing wrong. Start. All the great achievements are done with a simple beginning only. Whether it is 5,000-mile journey or 10,000-mile journey, it starts with one step. Just yesterday we completed a Padayatra from Kanyakumari to Bangalore, our Nityananda Dhyanapidam Biddi, 1,000-kilometer Padayatra. 1,000-kilometer yatra, but it started with one step only. So, your Jivan Mukti, maybe how many kilometers I don't know, but it has to start with the first step. So I bless you all. Let you all achieve and live, radiate, living enlightenment. Let you all be Jivan Muktas. Let you all live enlightenment. Let you all achieve and radiate the eternal bliss, Nityananda. Thank you.